So if you haven't heard, Texas is going through a crazy national crisis with the border and this whole federal versus state level discussion. So I want to talk a little bit about what it means and what other people are doing and some of the responses, because this is where the migrant crisis, the border crisis, is going to, as I've said before, come to a head, because with the elections coming up and with all of this discussion of what is the right thing to do, and how do we face this and all that stuff, as well as, if you want to call it conspiracy, if you want to call it just all of the foreign agents here and what that means for us or as Americans, all of this is a big point of concern, of worry, and as well as the implications for the rest of this year. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. And so if you haven't heard, again, the Supreme Court recently ruled that, and let me just put this up, and this is on the 22nd, issued a 5-4 vote allowing the federal government to remove Texas border wire. And this comes at the back of course, Governor Abbott in Texas putting these wires up and vacating certain parts of the border from federal access, Border Patrol access, and this being a national sort of emergency in that it's affecting obviously other states. So again, in a brief order, the High Court vacated a ruling issued mid-December by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, and these are the justices. And basically, a lot of people are reacting. And I've always said before, be very careful who you point fingers at and how you react, because I've said at the bigger picture, there is, in some sense, theater going on, which is that people are doing things, whether intentionally, a white hat doing black hat things, a black hat obviously being a black hat, or a white hat doing white hat things, but for the sake and for the purpose of waking people up. And one of the things that has to be exaggerated is this border crisis, because a lot of people, when it was first heard back in 2015, 2016, even before, people thought it was outrageous. Why do we put a border up? We should just leave it open, have people come in. And people were misjudging or misappropriating what an open border means, what freedom for this country means, for at the expense of people kind of doing things in the way that they want, which is that if you want to come through the border, you can either come illegally through the south border, or you can come in legally in a way for which you get your visa, you get assimilated according to the rule of law. And so all of this stuff has allowed people since 2015 or earlier to misjudge what it means to have open borders, right? This country is free. It's open in the sense that if you want to migrate here legally, it's possible. But in order for people to wake up to the fact that all of this just insanity of millions of people coming over the border, it has to be in some sense exaggerated so that the majority of the normies, if you want to call it, are waking up. And so this is what's happening. And I'm not here to say that I claim that these justices are working on behalf of military control and they're saying that this is what's happening and what's not. But what's very clear is that it is getting attention, right? So it's getting attention, and it's getting people to think about this in a critical thinking kind of way. And so I want to show a couple of videos just to see what people are saying, right? So this is Governor Abbott on a recent interview.
Joining us now is the governor of Texas, and great to have you here with us, sir. Can you explain, what did you decide was the breaking point for you to take the steps that you did? And maybe also just back up and let people know, what are you saying about the compact between the federal government and the state of Texas today?
So it was the states that created the United States. And when the states voted to create the United States and have a constitution, included in that agreement was the compact that the federal government would take care of the states. And Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution speaks to that and says that if the federal government does not take care of the states, then the states are in danger, well, we can ask the federal government to live up to its obligation. Then the authors of the Constitution knew there would be times when the federal government would not live up to its duty. And so they empowered states in Article 1, Section 10, the right of self-defense. And what Texas is asserting is our Article 1, Section 10 right of self-defense, because the President of the United States is not fulfilling his duty to enforce the laws passed by Congress that deny illegal entry into the United States.
Governor, will you instruct your officers to physically prevent federal officers from accessing that part of the border?
So what Texas is doing is just very simple. And that is because the Biden administration has really, truly abdicated its responsibility to secure the border and enforce the laws. Texas very simply is securing the border. And so we put up the razor wire that you were talking about, Bill, and we put up all these barricades that actually have denied illegal entry. And as you pointed out also in that screen, that there are criminals coming across our border. Texas has a right as a state to stop criminals from coming into our state, to make arrests of those criminals. And we have National Guard as well as Texas Department of Public Safety officers who are there to make those arrests and to deny illegal entry. And Joe Biden actually does have an option here. Joe Biden's option is to enforce the laws of the United States and stop this illegal entry.
So as you can see there was a brief response by Governor Abbott, and this is getting people flared up. So this was, I believe, today or the other day. And let me just show or bring up the response from Trump, which was given just a little bit ago today. He says, when I was president, we had the most secure border in history. Joe Biden has surrendered our border and is aiding and abetting a massive invasion of millions of illegal migrants into the United States. Instead of fighting to protect our country from this onslaught, Biden is unbelievably fighting to tie the hands of Governor Abbott in the state of Texas so that the invasion continues unchecked. In the face of this national security, public safety, and public catastrophe, Texas has rightly invoked the invasion clause of the Constitution and must be given full support to repel the invasion. And continuing on page 2, we encourage all willing states to deploy their guards to Texas to prevent the illegal and the entry of illegals and to remove them back across the border. All Americans should support the common sense measures by Texas authorities to protect the safety, security, and sovereignty of Texas and of the American people. When I am president, on day one, instead of fighting Texas, I will work hard, hand in hand with Governor Abbott and other border states to stop the invasion, seal the border, and rapidly begin the largest domestic deportation operation in history. Those Biden has let in should not get comfortable because they will go home. So obviously, there's a big question, right, that people are asking of the legality behind all of this. So on one hand, people are waking up to the absurdity in this whole migrant crisis, but also this is getting people, again, every event that's happening and any news that's being, given attention to is allowing people to ask questions of the constitutionality and the legality of everything that's happening, whether at the state level, the federal circuit courts, the Supreme Court, and all of that, and what is being done with regards to how this is right or wrong and who has what authority. And so Trump and Governor Abbott clearly talking about this crisis being a crisis that supersedes, in some sense, this court order, right, even from the Supreme Court. And so this is begging the question and allowing a lot of people to, again, wrestle with and sort of digest what this means for them. So this is what's happening because a lot of us, we're not in a position to, again, critically think. And I'm not saying this in an offensive or an insulting way to somebody, but this is how you have to wake somebody up because you're getting two sides. You're getting sort of this battle, and then you're allowing people to slowly ingest and digest the information so that you could wake up. So I want to cover that. And then the other thing I want to cover is that there's a lot of other, states. So I don't know if this is the latest one, but basically there's other states, governors that are in support of Governor Abbott. And so basically a lot of the red states, basically. And so they're supporting them despite the hand down or the decision that was brought down. So there's that. and then there's many others creating that sort of commentary. But expect this, again, to boil over and to get, in some sense, worse. And so, again, Trump makes promises, right? He makes promises that don't necessarily, and a lot of it depends on timing and interpretation, but it doesn't come empty. So these people that are coming, however they're being tracked, they will be deported, right? And so a lot of these people, again, you have to do things in a legal way. And there was some other videos of people coming over that were, I think, like terrorist cell leaders, and just viral videos going like on social media about certain people that were the heads of certain cell groups in certain countries. And so this is where people are getting a little bit concerned, and this is part of this wake-up process. So I want to give you guys this quick encouraging word, because a lot of what's happening and what's going on, it will be taken care of. God will have his say, but not at the expense, again, of loving people and making sure that things are done in a correct way. And so expect more of this to come up. But like a lot of people are talking about in terms of this civil war, or just kind of this federal versus state, and also the National Guard being nationalized, I think, or federalized, I'm sorry. A lot of, again, this is very much more advanced stuff, but a lot of people after the January 6th and all of the stuff that's happened, November 3rd stuff that happened, that was a key to take the National Guard and make sure that they were being used appropriately. And so, again, I'm not going to go into the detail of that, but you can research some of that if you know what I'm talking about. So wanted to give you guys this quick encouraging word. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.